So I'd like to introduce our next guest, which is Greg Richtarek from HP. Greg, thanks for taking the time and being on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Brent. It's a pleasure to be here as well.
So first thing I like to, always do to our viewers is kind of give them an idea of, what you do at HP.
Okay. That's a great question. I'm part of one of the companies at HP called Imaging and Printing. My job in this group is to work with those software partners that influence people to buy our product. People like Apple, Adobe, Autodesk, ESRI. They're all they all do their role in influencing their customer base to pursue HP as their printer of choice.
Well, it sounds like an awesome job.
It really is. It's a lot of fun. I meet a lot of different people, and I learn a lot. It encompasses many different marketplaces, which makes it very interesting for me. I'm not focused or pigeonholed in just one area.
Now today we came to talk really about a new product that HP has. It's the new Z-Series,
Correct.
And that's the 2100 and the 3100, correct?
Correct.
And that was pretty recently introduced?
Yeah, it was just introduced this last fall. It was in the September timeframe. We had basically a hole in our product offering for the creative space. And we had the Designjet 5500 at the high end. This is a machine that can go up to 60 inches long,
wow.
6 colors. And then at the low end, we had the Designjet 130 and 90, which were more tabletop models, and nothing in between. So we had to create a series of printers at the right price point for this marketplace. Small graphic arts firms, they can't afford a $10,000 highly productive printer. They need something in between, and that's why we came out with the Z-Series.
Now you have two printers. Now the 2100, correct me if I'm wrong, is around the $3,500, and then the 3100 is about $4,000 to $5,000, which is a very reasonable price for a printer with this capability. Now there's two printers. Give me a quick breakdown of the difference between those two printers.
Sure. The 2100, the Z2100 is an 8-ink printer.
Okay.
All right. And the 3100 is a 12-ink printer. And they're basically positioned in two different marketplaces within the creative space. The 8-ink printer is pretty much focusing on that individual graphic artist or that small firm, people doing posters, banners, marketing collateral, things of that nature, and also the proofing marketplace. The 12-ink printer, because of the 12 inks, has a much larger color gamut than the 8-ink printer. And that's specifically targeted toward digital fine arts, reproduction, and the professional photographer. Yeah, the 12-ink printer actually has 4 blacks. It has a matte black, a photo black, a medium gray, and a light gray. Wow. So with those grays, plus a gloss enhancer, and I'll talk about that in a second, with those grays and that gloss enhancer, you're seeing digital photography reproduction rivaling film. And in some cases, some of our photo influencers have given up on film altogether and are purely digital.
Now, Jerry from Santa Fe Labs, which has been using this printer, and I sat down at Macworld and we talked about that gloss enhancers, and he was really impressed with that. And tell me why that's cool for the photographer.
It's really important. If you look at a real black and white photograph and you put it up to the light and you curve it, you'll see a nice continuous tone over the entire photograph. That's because of the paper and the chemistry involved in the emulsion in creating the actual photograph. So there's always this kind of like glossy tone to it, kind of like a coating. If when you look at a printer, an image that's printed off a printer, wherever there's white space, there's no ink put down, right?
Yeah,
it's an
exactly.
absence of color.
Exactly.
And if you put up a black and white digital reproduced photograph without a gloss enhancer, you're going to see those flat spots wherever there's no ink. So the gloss enhancer is actually used to create a continuous tone over the entire image. Very critical for professional photography.
And I'm sure very critical for people who are doing, fine art photography and things that are actually selling to their end user or actually selling maybe in a gallery.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's critical to DFA as well.
Awesome. Now that we're on kind of the ink subject, the Vivera inks, first time HP's really come up with this archival ink set. 200-year archival ink set.
Exactly.
Fantastic. And how are you guys? Give me an idea of what's going on with that ink set.
Well, the thing is, we wanted to, get a brand going around our inks. What's really critical with any printer manufacturer is you'll find you're going to get your best quality using that manufacturer's media, both ink and paper. And we have, in San Diego, we do a lot of our ink development. We have over 5,000 biochemists that develop and engineer and invent our ink and our paper. It's really phenomenal.
Wow.
So to get the best quality, you've got to use the HP ink on the HP media, and we decided it was time to brand that ink.
Okay.
Call it something, distinguish it. And the first set of Vivera inks were dye-based, which is as opposed to pigment. And the dye-based inks are rated at 100 years archival quality. You'll find those Vivera inks running in the Designjet 5500, the 130, and the 90.
So what's currently in the marketplace right now?
Correct.
I mean, that is really a stronghold in the creative arts market, photography market now.
So with the introduction of the Z-Series, now, as I mentioned before, these are pigment-based inks. Pigment, again, gives us a larger color gamut than dye. And at the same time, it gives us a higher archival quality, as you said, 200 years. Now, the big joke is when you're on the trade show or talking to customers, it's really funny, well, I'm not going to be around to see it, right? But the fact of the matter is, archival quality is very, very important to, you mentioned it, museums, the government.
Van Goghs are still around,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. It's very, very important. So it's more important to them than us being around seeing that photograph 200 years from now. So the other nice thing about the pigment inks, too, is that they're very highly water resistant. Now, we can't come out and call it waterproof, but we have a little demo in our booth that when we go to the photographic trade shows. It's a fountain that's continuously pouring on a 4x6 photograph, and it hasn't faded yet. So they're pretty water fast.
Now, you mentioned a 4x6. Now, currently, we're in the large format with these inks. Now, we have a 4x6 printer and other printers that also have these ink sets.
There's one other pigment-based printer that we've released at the same time. It's called the B9180. It's part of the PhotoSmart family. Different division, but this is where we dovetail together.
Yeah.
A B size being 13x17.
Gotcha.
And that uses the pigment-based inks. And it is also that same archival quality. You can run 4x6 paper through that.
And make that happen.
Exactly.
So it's nice. I mean, that's, I think, when I was working with the 2100 that you guys let me use for a while, I really like saying that I had the ink set from other printers, and as I can progress from, a smaller size all the way up to a larger size, because as a designer I can proof it, sign it off of my client. I'm not using a large sheet, and that's costly. And so for these larger printers, and I know a lot of people think of course, their great price range for the printer itself, but you got to think about cost of paper and cost of ink.
Correct. Cost of paper and ink is always an issue. You're always asked that question. But one key factor about these printers that helps you save money, and which means you don't waste time or space, or you make bad prints, is because of the onboard spectrophotometer.
Yeah.
So you've got this instant one-button color calibration control built into the printer. No other manufacturer has that. And that guarantees exact quality from print to print and from printer to printer. So that's a big cost savings right now, because you're not wasting paper trying to get the print right.
Yeah, and it was awesome for me because actually, and we'll look at this a little bit later when we do our demo, but I mean, even in my print driver, it told me I wasn't calibrated to that actual paper, and it was going to say, yeah, you need to recalibrate to that paper right on the fly, right from the print driver.
Exactly.
Which is one of the things I really like about HP printers, is the ability to give me a little bit more feedback on what I'm doing, because I want to be creative. Sure. I don't want to go out and try and be technical on the printer.
Exactly.
Now, talking a little bit about paper, you guys have an enormous amount of paper. Different stocks, I should say. Everything from the photo gloss to the photo satin, which is one of my favorites.
Correct.
All the way to now canvas.
Yeah, this is a little bit out of date, but this is an example of swatch book we hand out at trade shows, and this just gives you an idea. The pages in here are very, very thin. The different media. And you can see, it's really, really thin. So there's a lot of media represented in here. And like you say, we range all the way from the fine art type of media. You mentioned canvas. This is what Kincaid uses for his reproduction.
Oh, okay.
You've got the photo satin, which is a very nice media. You have watercolor paper. You've got other kinds of canvas that mimic different centuries. All the way to simple coated bond for the architect that just needs to bang out a line drawing. So we usually have just about everything you need. We also have outdoor banner scrim and vinyl and things of that nature. So the pigment inks on the vinyl you can put up outside. It's not going to fade for a very long time. So we've got the media that fits just about every need. You asked me earlier about cost. And that cost can range from anywhere from 2 or 3 cents to 50 cents a square foot, again, depending on the media and the application. So, for example, if you were to print a 2x3 poster, almost full bleed, let's say 99% coverage, that's going to run you about, and let's say it's on nice paper, let's say it's on a nice coated bond that you're going to put up in the store window for a while, that might cost you 30, 35 cents a square foot. You know, couple, $3-4 to actually do the print. You take that to a service bureau, they're going to charge you $50.
Oh, exactly.
So, you know, these printers, depending on your productivity, can really amortize themselves in a very short time. And then all of a sudden, the cost for the ink and the media really becomes a non-issue.
Well, it seems like you guys are filling a fantastic, like you said, a gap that needed to be filled with these. Got great ink, you know, archival, fantastic paper choice, cost of the printer, which, you know, when I first saw the cost, was amazed with. Anything else that you wanted to add of, you know, differentiation that HP's done with these printers other than, say, some other unnamed competitors?
Well, I think specifically we've touched on that. The pigment-based inks, going to 12 color. We're the only one in the large format that has the gloss enhancer and the only one in the industry that has the onboard spectrophotometer. That technology is developed and delivered by X-Ray Corporation, and you combine that with the monitor display calibrator that they have, we finally have a very easy closed-loop color calibration system, and I think that's a first in the industry.
And you know, that's what we're talking about today, is color, and how do we, you know, help people make it a little bit easier, you know that they can attain good color and actually start working with it.
Absolutely.
Well, Greg, fantastic to have you here on the show. I really appreciate your time and all your great expertise on these printers.
Thank you, Brent.
Hopefully we'll have more and more people be looking at them and good prints coming out in good color.
Sounds good to me.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
Well, that was fantastic, and one of the great things, again, is working with HP in color. It's a closed solution. We have, you know, spectrophotometers where we're doing on-screen. They're partnering with the right people like X-Ray and really working to provide customers with a solution. Not just a printer, but a solution. Something that includes inks, paper, color spectrophotometer, and color accuracy, all for a really, really great price.